Welcome. Hopefully you're having a great day. We are going to get started right away. I started 30 seconds late, so my apologies. Hopefully the audio is going well and we are good to go. So we're going to go into building our real estate business extremely fast. Now I'm going to have different options. I'm going to give you the buffet. I'm going to give you the buffet today. We're going to go into if we're going to build our business, whether we're brand new, so you have really no concept, no benchmarks to speak of. I'm going to give you different metrics to look at for your real estate business to get it at a high performing level extremely quickly. But I'm also going to go and really help the agents that maybe are doing a little reboot. Maybe you've been out of the game for a little bit and are getting back into real estate. So you might know how to do real estate, but maybe the business hasn't been there right now. So we're going to go into that to give you a good foundation regardless of where you happen to be today. So as you're coming in, a like is going to go a long way. I thought I was live. Am I live? Cool. All right, so let's get into this. What to do immediately to build your real estate business today. Let me know if you're here live. Let me know in the chat. That would be very helpful. All right, so let's not block the screen. All right, what to do immediately to build your real estate business fast. Let's get right into it. Decide when you're going to work. I know this sounds so obvious, but oftentimes the obvious escapes us, eludes us. One of the most important things that you can do for your real estate business, in fact, I deem it as the most important thing, is decide when you're going to be available. Now, I originally thought about writing, start with why and do all that fun stuff. So, no disrespect to Simon Sinek. I understand the importance of starting with why, but we need to go a little bit more tactical than that. We need to really be able to take something on, not so abstract into like why, because that typically brings you into more deeper questions, the life meaning of the world. Why am I here? I get that. I understand that. But at some point, if you're in this real estate industry or you have your real estate license, you've had your real estate license, we need a refresh, we need a reboot, or we just need a boot. We don't need a reboot. We just need to boot. We need to get going. So number one is establish when you're going to work. So the same way that you would go and work at a department store or in the service industry or at the corporate world, you get told, when you're working and what time you're working. So the same thing that applies there, you want to apply to your business. The big difference here is that you reap the rewards exponentially. Now, oftentimes we don't define the days we're working and the time that we're working. So we leave it up to chance. We leave it up to our emotions. We leave it up to our own vices, if you will. So if we don't feel like doing it, guess what? We might not prospect today. Okay, we'll leave that for tomorrow. And then it becomes easier and then becomes easier. And then we're 8 pounds overweight like I am today. Actually, it's more like 18. So that's a challenge, right? So number one, very, very first step is deciding when you're going to be working. Really making it a commitment, a concerted effort to actually determine when it is that you're going to be working. So that's step number one. This is what you must immediately do. Put out your calendar, take out your phone if you do the phone calendar, if you have the manual calendar or the global calendar here that you have like one of those big calendars up here. Decide when you're going to work. And please don't go to the step number two, because oftentimes skipping step number one is not gonna allow you to actually follow through on step number two. Now, once you know when you're gonna work, now we gotta fill that in with things to do. We gotta fill it in with actions, the things that are gonna bring us in the business. So this is where I mentioned that we're gonna do a little bit of a buffet style. I'm breaking this down into different categories. I'm breaking this down to the brand newbies, to the brand new real estate agents, on what to focus on as you get your business started. But I'm also speaking to you full-time agents. Full-time agents, I consider 5 to 15 transactions per year. So on the low end of full-time, you're making enough to stay in business and actually be profitable. You're not making a killing. You have to be very budget conscientious here, but you are in the game. You're considered full-time, and then on the higher end, the 15, then you're starting to get a little bit of income to go into those vacations, go in to do some additional cool things. And then the scalers is going to be 15 to 25. Now I have the mega scaler as well here, but for this particular video, it just made more sense to speak about these. So what are you going to do within the time that you set out? So if you said you're going to work on Sundays, on Saturdays, on Fridays, on whatever your schedule is, it doesn't matter. You get to build a business around you. Here's where you're going to be focusing on if you are at a 0 to 5 transactions a year type of production. 10% of the time, you're preparing for the business, meaning you're preparing how to do this business altogether, how contracts work, how showings work, how to speak with people, how to handle objections. This is 10% of your time. Notice that you're not spending a ton of time here, because the most amount of time that you're going to be spending on is going to be 80% of the time getting the business. So this is you prospecting, this is you marketing, this is you doing something actively to grow your business, which we'll talk about later on in today's video. Getting the business is where your priority needs to be, because guess what? We could be so well prepared, or we could be really good at doing the real estating part, but if we're not good at getting and procuring clients, you're not going to be in business. Now, I get this from our team all the time. I get this from people that are interviewing to be part of our production team and join us here in our expansion team across the country, of agents that want to partner with us because we either provide leads for them or we do all their marketing for them at no cost. Our contact information is down below, by the way, if you're interested in that. We get this all of the time where, hey, Jaime, I'm so good with people, but I just don't have people to be good with, right? So I'm really good. I'm really passionate about real estate. I really like doing this profession, but I just don't have enough people to work with. That's why we have to focus our energy, our time, our efforts, our resources on getting the business. And oftentimes we invert this. We spend 80% of our time preparing, but we never spend time prospecting. We never spend time telling people or showing people, demonstrating to people that we're in real estate. That's a huge discrepancy. And 10% of the time is going to be working the business. So when you start out, again, when you have 0 to 5 transactions, 10% of your time is going to actually be doing showings. 10% of your time is going to actually be negotiating. 10% of the time is actually it's going to be doing the real estating part, the fun part, the stuff that we honestly got into this business for. So we didn't get into this industry because we want to get hung up on for the 100th time. We don't get into this business so our brother can go and buy a home with another agent. We didn't get into that. Now, if that's specific enough, just know that there's a reason I said that. We didn't get into this business for that, right? So 10% of our time preparing for the business. This is you learning how to actually do it. To 80% of our time getting business, going out there marketing, advertising. 10% of the time working the business. Now, if you are a full-time agent, again, you're making enough money to actually sustain your license and are not operating at a negative loss, this is going to be your 5 to 15 transactions per year type of an agent. So here, our ratios change a little bit, right? So it's still the same hours that we decided that we're going to work, right? So we're still working the same days and times. There might be some adjustments based off of if you were doing the jump from part-time into full-time, that would also be a thing. But when it comes to your full-timers here, what you're looking at is 20% of the time is preparing for the business. This is where you're going to start seeing, you would think like, well, why, if I spend 10 times just learning how to write a contract, why am I going to 10% of my time spending the time to learn to write a contract? Why am I doing 20%? Why am I learning more? Right? So with you being the full-time, what you're trying to do here as you're preparing for the business is you're sharpening your sword. This is you preparing contracts faster. This is you hiring that transaction coordinator. This is you improving your systems. This is you getting better at your objection handling skills. This is you optimizing the opportunities that you're getting, right? So, and then you're going to be spending less time procuring business. Now, at all point in time, you do need to be continuing to prospect for business, but at some point in time, people remember who you are, your efforts are working. If you're using our lead stacking matrix, for sure you're getting people calling you back. This is where the ratio starts kind of rotating, if you will, so adjusting. 60% of your time is now getting the business. This is, again, marketing, advertising. Your lead engine should never go to 0. You should always be prospecting. But as far as the intensity, that gets adjusted. And as you're doing 5 to 15 transactions, this is that 20% of the time now that you're working the business. This is showing the homes. This is you going and doing the negotiations. This is you doing the real estating part. You start seeing this increase as well. So you're spending more time and actually working the business, right? So we're going to go through an exercise later on in our time together, so we can look at that together. But just want to give you kind of a little framework to go from. Now, you scalers, the ones that are making enough money to add not additional revenue streams, to amplify your revenue stream, meaning getting more real estate done. What you're looking here is, once again, you're upping your preparedness. You're really sharpening your skill set. So this is where, if you notice, your top producers aren't top producers alone. You notice that top producers, the ones that are doing 50, 100, 1,000 transactions a year, they have coaches. They're investing in themselves. They're investing in themselves as entrepreneurs, as real estate agents, as business owners. They are improving. They're improving their systems, right? So they have all these metrics in place. They know on average, every time they host an open house, they know on average how much they can expect to earn, right? So this is that preparation. You're preparing for the business. This is you improving your skill set on objections, improving your systems, improving the way that you write contracts, hiring staff. So getting better and optimizing better. 30% of your time is going to be getting the business. So you're going to notice that this drops dramatically. Now, here you are looking at, you've cut out a few other lead generation sources and are really tripled down on the lead sources that work. So this is where a top producer, a scaler, somebody that is scaling that to this level of transactions per year, if open houses is their thing, open houses is their thing, right? They're not going to fight it. They're going to continue doing that in order to continue growing. Then 40% of the time is going to be spent on working the business. This is where, again, they're boots on the ground. There's more people to work with. So you have the individuals that are closing so many transactions that they spend most of their time out on showings, on listing appointments, wherever they're making the highest return on investment. So there you see them doing 2 to 4 appointments per day in many cases. So you're starting to see some huge returns. Now, again, this ratio continues to change as you continue to close more and more transactions. So let me know in the comment section if you're here. Comment down below, hit that like button, and also share this with an agent that you think could benefit from this information. Excuse me. Now, again, we're not going to lose the plot. What to do immediately to get your real estate business to 6 figures fast. So number one, we got to define what are we going to be doing. When we're going to be doing this. And then we start categorizing, putting our arms and guardrails in place so we can know what we should be doing within our time that we're working, right? So this is a percentage breakdown. So we've talked about our lead stacking matrix on previous videos. So make sure you check out that video series where I break down how to work your sphere of influence, an active strategy, a passive strategy, and your social media. So you're not overworking, so you are scaling and stacking your lead flow. All right, so again, we're gonna go straight into the meat grinder here. We're gonna go right we're gonna go right into work. What we are trying to do is build our business rapidly. So what are we trying to do? We gotta do the growth. So reach out to your SOI list. So at this point, every single agent, if you're getting started, it specifically needs to identify who is your sphere of influence. So basically ask yourself, if I see an individual at the grocery store and we lock eyes and I feel compelled to go and say hi to them because I know them from my past, whether family, friends, coworkers, past clients, that's probably somebody in your sphere of influence. So do the grocery store test. So number one, we got to identify who they are. If you haven't gone through that exercise, please do so. So number one, think through people that should be on your sphere of influence. Next, go to your phone contacts and see who's on your phone contacts that belongs in your sphere of influence. Then go to your social media. Who on your social media should be on your friends, on your sphere of influence list. And then go to your emails. On your email, seeing who in your email database is someone that should be on your SOI list. That is the framework that we're using. So who are they? Once you've identified who they are, this is the most important step. Send this to them today. Do you know someone who? So here's where you fill in the blank. So if you're looking for buyers as an example, do you know someone who's looking to buy a home right now? Do you know somebody that's struggling to buy a home and can't get offers accepted? right? So people in your sphere of influence want to support you. You need to give them that opportunity. So send them a message today. Call them today. Now, I understand when I say call, a lot of people just tighten up and will never make that call, kind of like me. So I'll be the first to admit the calling is not in my bones. It's not in my nature, not my DNA. And it's not something I choose to change. So if I had to, like if my life was on the line, of course I would change, but it's not. So what I do is I send out a lot of DMs, a lot of texts, a lot of messages. So I can amplify my time. I still have pretty good numbers when it comes to the SOI. You're looking to close 8 to 12 transactions per year from your SOI list alone. So sending them a message today, I want to challenge you. So I want to challenge you right now. If you need to pause this video and or go back and get the verbiage, like who do you know? Do you know someone who is looking to buy a house right now? That's a DM that you can send out to your SOI all day long right now, right? So I challenge you to take action with your sphere of influence. This is about getting your goals accomplished fast. I could give you the why you should do this SOI and why go through your fears, blah blah blah. I could give you all that. That is absolutely something I could do. However, we still need the actions. That's what this video is about. I want to give you the straight meat and potatoes rather than the sizzle. Now, once we've gone through our sphere of influence, once you've rattled off all of these messages, ideally you're going to have people commenting back and helping you get additional transactions accomplished. But once we've done our SOI, what we need to do is we need to add one lead generation strategy for new leads. So we need to grow our base. So again, I'm just giving you the meat and potatoes, going straight into what if I had to get a real estate lead, a real estate client closed, this is what I would do. Focus on getting the now business. And I would focus on two main strategies. Number one is open houses. Two is Facebook Marketplace. And I would promote new builds. So I'll unpack them for a quick second. Now, if you have any questions on it, I can expand upon that. That's why we're here. But for now, if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. So open houses, I would be booking 2 to 4 open houses per weekend. So with the open house strategy, the reason I love it so much is because it has the highest conversion, one of the highest, I guess I should say, one of the highest converting ratios on any lead generation strategy out there. Why? Well, because with open houses, you're hosting open a house where people come to that are in market, meaning people that are considering buying a home, people that are considering using the exact same service that you happen to be an expert in or becoming an expert in. The same way that you would go to a dealership on a Saturday, where you're going there with a purpose. Right? You're not going there just to waste your time. Some of you, enjoy that, I guess, enjoy going to dealerships and seeing what is possible, but there is a desire. There's something there, right? So you may not buy that car that Saturday, but you're starting your search. You're starting that process. Now, when you are ready to go, you are going to that you are going to that dealership and taking action. So from an open house perspective, it's the exact same thing. Right? So people don't walk into the open houses by accident. Something drives them there. There's a motivation there. So it's your job whenever you get these open houses, host these open houses, is to uncover their motivation, their timeline, and all that fun stuff. So their needs. So that's why I love open houses. If I was looking to get that next client, if I was trying to break into the 6-figure club once again this year, like we've been doing consistently for the past 10 years or so, that's what I would be looking at. Now, Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is a digital billboard at this point. Facebook Marketplace still works. So what I would be doing is looking and seeing which homes are ready to go with the new builds out there. So it's very easy to see the MLS, go into the MLS and identify those builds that are basically on the hot sheet. Those homes that are ready to go, mostly from inventory homes. So this is the DR Hortons of the world, the Lennars, Trophy, Meritage, these new builds that do a lot of production or inventory building. So there's homes that you can market those on Facebook Marketplace. So you're going to blanket Facebook Marketplace with 5 to 10 postings per day. And you're going to start seeing some radical results. You're going to start seeing that here, once again, are interested in market, start commenting. And you start the conversation. So this is where we start getting into new leads. That people that are in Facebook Marketplace, they're not there by accident. They're looking for something. And if you are presenting something that is of value to them, which in this case, the incentives that New Builds offers, that's a huge advantage for them and for you. Now, I mentioned we're doing a buffet style today. So we're going to go back to new. If you're a new agent, if you're looking to be really good at this industry, this is something that you should be doing daily. So show a home, write a contract. Show a home, write a contract. So just to give you an idea of the framework, this is you working the business. So 10% of your time should be working the business. Even if you have no business, when you get started, I understand, like if you've done 0 transactions and are doing 0 transactions right now, I understand that there's no buyer that you're going to be showing that home on the today, tomorrow, or whenever you're choosing to work. I recognize that. So you need to create those opportunities. So you need to be showing a home daily. You need to practice writing a contract daily. That is a way for you to sharpen your skills at the same time. This is you learning how to do the business, preparing for the business, and in other words, working the business. So when you have a client, when you actually for finally, after all your efforts, finally have a buyer that wants to use you to buy a house, now you're going to have no issue showing them that home and writing a contract. Under no circumstances, if you're a forward-thinking entrepreneur, under no circumstances should you be showing a home for your very first time to a real-life client. That's just a really good way to have a bad impression. That's a really good way to lose a potential client. Same thing with contracts. If your first contract is a live client, that's a red flag. That's going to really put you behind. Why? Well, because with writing a contract, you should already be doing this over and over again. The same way that you wouldn't trust your attorney to write up a brief or whatever those things are called, or write a demand letter. You don't want to be the first person that they write a demand letter because it's the first time that they have a client. You don't want to be the first. So don't do that to your clients. Right. So at that point, hopefully the attorney has had hours and hours, hundreds, maybe not hundreds, but a good amount of experience on what demand letters should have, what they should look like, what they should ask for, what they should not ask for, so it doesn't look amateur. Now, once again, this is a real estate profession, so there's an element of being a professional. Now, we're not on the amateur hour, right? So this is why, if you're new, show a home daily, write a contract daily. This is the best way to grow in this business, because at some point you will have that client. At one point you will do that showing. At one point you will write that contract. And when that point comes, you're ready to go. Right? So that's something that is so huge, so huge. And of course, please find a mentor. If you're looking for the shortcut, if you're looking for a shortcut in any industry, if we're going to go broad, finding a mentor, somebody that has been there before, you get to learn from their mistakes, right? So that you can get a mentor or a coach. So I'll give you an example. One of our agents, Franco, so he'll do about roughly 10 to 15 transactions right now per month. He and I have been meeting since 2001 weekly. So we've been meeting every single week since 2020. Did I say 2001? 2021. We've been meeting weekly. And we've been deploying his strategy, or he's been enacting his strategy. I've been there as a counsel, as a guide, as a coach. Find a mentor, somebody that has done what you're looking to do, and latch on to that individual. So if somebody is really good at something that you wish to get good at as well, it would be really good if you went and built proximity to that individual, someone that's already built, created the path that you're trying to go on. This is exactly what you would be doing. This is exactly what you should be doing if you're trying to get to 6 figures this year. Mapping out when you're going to be working, what you're going to be doing within that time that you're allotting yourself. Make sure that the SOI is the bedrock of your foundation. If you do 10 transactions from your SOI, well, guess what? You already have a 6-figure business right from your sphere of influence. And that's not incredibly difficult to do. You're adding an additional strategy for new leads. I'm giving you open houses, but there's so many. You can go into YouTube. You can go into door knocking. You can go into cold calling. You can go into social media posting. There's so many different ways to build your business. And we talk all about that in our lead stacking matrix that you're going to see in previous live streams. So make sure that you check them out. And the rest of the information we kind of already covered. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to reach out. Our contact information is down below. If you're looking to partner up with the right production team here locally in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, we are hiring. If you are looking to grow your real estate business, where we take on all your marketing and help you bring leads at no cost to you across the country, we also are bringing on partners. So our contact information is down below. Outside of that, I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll see you tomorrow.